The fuck?
Sold all my stuff. You know, I didn't need it anymore. Kidding! Funny joke.
It's funny.
No.
We'd ever sell comics.
No. We're just changing scenery. So in the next few videos.
Next few videos, it's gonna a little. Anywho, hey guys, Kiriyama Sparta here again with
Sarah.
And comic book review time. You know it. Before we get to the review, we gotta nerd out for a sec. So, if you haven't seen last week's review, it was Dr. Manhattan #2. And it started getting a bunch of views out of nowhere, and I was kind of confused why.
Which is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. No, I watch as much as you can. Subscribe. Anyway. But it was kind of out of nowhere, so I was confused why. And so I put up the message, like, what's going on with all the views? And turns out the actual writer of Dr. Manhattan #2 tweeted about the review.
Yep.
And oh my god. I got as close to a girl scream as I could. That is pretty sweet.
Cool.
I'm so pumped. I'm gonna butcher your name. I'm sorry. J. Michael Straczynski?
It's
I think
similar
so.
to my last name because it's crazy in Polish, so that's my best guess.
That's fair. But yeah.
That's so cool.
I'm so happy right now.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anywho, we've got another comic book we're reading today. And yeah, you probably geek out if Darwin Cook texted about us.
Totally.
So we do have 2 comics to go through today. First, of course, we have to start with our ever popular, ever lovable now. Before Watchmen. Today's is Minutemen #4. Hope you can see that. We got some high-tech lighting in the back. It's a lamp. And
it's high-tech lighting.
High-tech. We thought the videos were a bit dark.
Pardon me.
Anywho, and yeah, I love the cover. It's something about a drunk superhero. It's pretty cool to me. I like that. And then later on, we'll be getting to some more Death of the Family in Catwoman #13 as well.
It's the prelude.
It's the prelude to Death of the Family, so look forward to that. But for now, Before Watchmen. So, if you guys saw our other reviews of Before Watchmen, you've known we've been pretty up on this series the whole time. This series has been...
Minutemen is one of the top ones.
One of the top ones. It's been good throughout.
Yeah.
Not a bad issue yet.
No.
And I can honestly say still the case. Still very good comic. Very good comic.
Yep.
It has a part in it that I knew was coming, but I wasn't looking forward to reading about.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that. So we kind of open on Night Owl. I'm assuming it's Night Owl, talking about how people Hollis, the first Night Owl. Sorry, he's talking about how people are really good at kind of forgetting.
Yeah, and
atrocities.
They're okay with reading about them, but experiencing them is different, or something like that.
Yeah, it's very, methodical, very well thought out. So of course it went right over our heads, but it's still awesome. It was really good. He's talking about how people can read about World War II and what happened, and then people will actually tell you what happened, and
completely different experience.
It's a completely different experience. Then we cut to Hollis actually trying to talk to Mothman, because of course, as you know, Mothman did eventually go crazy and was put into an asylum, I think, or just like a care home. He went crazy. And I don't know if they mentioned it in the first Watchmen comic, but his name is Byron.
Yeah, I don't know if it ever mentions that.
I don't remember. Yeah.
If it did, I don't remember.
If it did, yeah, we missed that. But so now we know Mothman's name is Byron.
Yes.
And it's pretty nice. He's trying to have a conversation with him. He's even kind of mentioning the book he was writing under the hood.
Yep.
But he's
so far gone.
He's gone. He's just sitting there.
Hollis even says, problem is, we all came back from those horrors changed, but the problem is Byron never came back.
Yeah.
At all. So he's just kind of...
Yeah, kind of stuck there.
Stuck or just...
Like Cyclops.
Yeah, snapped.
Cyclops, yeah. Then he starts talking about how the Minutemen did a lot of good during the war times. But the war ended with I like that. The war had ended with a horror so complete the entire world laid down its arms. Hiroshima.
Yeah.
In case you don't know, nuke. It's bad. It's really, really bad. Learn you something. And he talks about how people were just too busy celebrating to actually realize what they did.
Yeah.
Then we cut to Hollis and Byron.
Younger versions.
Younger versions, of course.
1946.
Kind of upgrading his wings.
Yeah.
I think these. I don't know. I can't tell if these ones are like made to fold out, like if they were in a backpack. He has
levers that when they're open, his arms are down, but when they're closed, his arms are up. So I'm assuming it's kind of
probably like give him some lift or something. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Then, of course, while they're working on it, they get mention on the radio about a bloody crime scene, and I was not looking forward to this.
Yeah.
You know what's happening, but Silhouette got murdered. Ursula.
Yep, finally happened.
It did. It did. It's handled well, and it's really sad.
It is, like, you know what's going to happen, but it's still sad hearing about because we got more involved with the character.
Yeah, I got to know more about Silhouette.
In love with her.
Yeah, which makes what happens to her that much more tragic. It's really... And we also find out that they know who did it.
Yeah.
And they actually... But we'll get to that. Yeah. So it cuts right to them. Of course, they go to the cemetery.
It was just Hollis and Byron.
It was just Hollis and Byron at this point. They came to pay their respects. Hollis is talking about how he was in love with Ursula, and how this, of course, how the last comic ended. He dropped her off with her lover. He didn't know that at the time, and he came back the next day with flowers. And he said it was the most awkward experience of his life. He's like, I don't know how I didn't realize it before that she was. Silhouette is a lesbian, in case you didn't know. She and I can't remember the name of
Gretchen.
It is Gretchen. Okay. Yeah, I'm bad with names, but yeah, they were.
And even after he found out, he still loved her.
He still loved her. He said it was weird.
Yeah.
He's still feeling like that. Yeah. Then we actually cut to not the last time they talked, but kind of like the last request that she was able to give him.
More last face-to-face talk that they have.
Basically, they're discussing the meeting, how the meeting went, because of course everyone knows she's a lesbian now. It kind of got outed and. The Minutemen had a group, whether or not Silhouette should still be in the group, and it was 4-2 for her to leave. Only Hollis and Byron were for her to stay.
Yeah.
So she meets, she goes, "How was the meeting?" He's like, "A bunch of hypocrites." He's really pissed, and she's like, "You know, it's gonna happen. Yeah. As you and I, we can still do our thing. It's okay."
Yeah.
She basically then starts talking about a bunch of missing kids, missing or dead, both, like kids that are missing and then other ones that have been found dead.
Yep.
And she thinks they're all connected.
Same serial killer.
They think it's a serial killer. So it goes to her, "Promise me, Hollis, you'll help me find that." Because of course Hollis is a cop.
Yeah. And
then it cuts back to him at the graveside going, "I promise," which I thought was really sweet. It was really good. I like that. Then he talks about the last time he talked to her.
Yeah.
She and Gretchen were out in
somewhere
Marina Bay near Boston. She gives him one last call. She's talking about, can we meet tomorrow night?
She has more information about
the serial killer.
The case that she's working on.
And she's like, "Oh, we'll be back tomorrow, silly. See you then."
Yeah.
That's
they
the
died
night.
That night.
They died that night. Yeah, it's done really.
And this is where we find out who killed
a third-rate pervert called the Liquidator.
Yeah. And
we get one picture of him, and I was like,
yeah, he's scuzzy looking.
He's scuzzy, yeah.
And Hollis even says they died horribly, terribly, but they died together.
They did.
It's real. This is an extremely dark comic, and it's really emotional. It's really emotional.
I was, once again, and of course they leave, and Byron's like, "I could use a drink." Then we cut to Silk Spectre showing up first. Silk Spectre, Sally Jupiter, and I was like, "Oh great." Because if you've watched the previous, I hate her. She is such a bitch.
And her and Silhouette did not get along at all.
And then she starts talking, and she even brings up, she's like, "I never did like you. I felt like you were better than me, and it made me feel worse about myself." And she's like, "But the truth is you were.
Yeah, you were a better person.
You were a better person than me." Then she's like, "I wanted to tell you both you can rest in peace now. Let me tell you about the Liquidator." And as soon as I read that, I was like,
"Oh shit."